Hi, I'm Sarah Barrett Neal, Gallery Manager with the Glen Arbor Arts Center. As part of the Arts Center's exhibition Paperwork, I'm in conversation with two people for whom the old art of paper mache is foundational to their work. Dorienne Sherrod, Dorienne Wave. She's the director of the Big Heads Corp, and Sharon Morris, who is the tour director and project specialist with the Big Heads Corp. The Big Heads, the world's largest collection of paper mache sculptured animals, cartoon characters, and human heads, are a beloved component of the 97-year-old Thanksgiving parade in Detroit. Started by Hudson's, downtown Detroit's legendary department store, the parade first rolled down Woodward Avenue in 1924, the same year that Macy's began its parade in New York City. The Detroit parade is now sponsored by Gardner White. Welcome, Dorienne and Sharon, who have the big...
Thank you for having us. We're thrilled.
You're so welcome.
Yes.
We've got some big heads in the background, so why don't we just jump in? Describe the big heads, what they are, and how they made their way to Detroit.
Sharon, well, the big heads, well, they are paper mache made completely from paper. They started in Baraggio, Italy in their festival way back in the day. And we have some of these heads, like our beautiful horses, elves. They were actually originated from Italy. So then Hudson's back in the day brought he went to Italy, saw and said, wow, these heads are beautiful. Let's bring them back to Detroit for our parade. And then they brought them back, and we have our wonderful, beautiful Raggedy Ann here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was actually made in Italy, and really cool inside is the old Italian newspaper.
It's completely hollow. It weighs about 5 pounds. Probably over 75 years old.
Probably. and they're worn over the head. So it's part of their festival in Italy. People can be completely incognito, be festive in the streets. And at the end of their festival, they burn them, which Hudson was like, oh no, we can't have this. So they brought a collection back to Detroit, and now they are housed in our lovely warehouse, as you see. And they're just paper mache. There is a whole process. We have a couple from made in studio right here in Detroit, Michigan. We have Bob Seeger and Aretha Franklin. They are actually made in our studio here. So we have a wide collection of Italian original big heads and also Detroit made big heads as well.
So you said Raggedy Ann was about 5 pounds. Generally speaking, how heavy do the big heads get?
I think they go from a Raggedy Ann, which is the lightest at about 5 pounds, to either the 8-foot penguin or the full-bodied turkey, which probably are 40 pounds.
And lots of them come with some kind of costuming that goes on.
They all come with costuming.
So you have
the horses, for example. We have unicorns that in our collection, and wizards. We have wizard costumes, so the unicorns ride with wizards. And that's a full body paper mache. The person actually gets inside and carries the head with suspenders, where the other ones just go over the head and are supported on the shoulders.
Can you talk a little bit about this historic Italian process of paper mache? It just seems like such an antique process to be using, and yet here we are in the 21st century.
It definitely is an antique process in the fact that the actual artist from Baraggio, Italy, came here in the 80s and showed us their technique. No balloons involved, none of that. We make a steel frame, an armature, where an artist will take just molding clay and do the bust, the big head in molding clay. Before they do that, they get everything approved. They make a life-size head, and then they enlarge it from there. Once they do the clay front and back, they will take aluminum flashing, which is real thin, and they put it around its head here, and then start to cover the completed clay head with
Plastic.
plaster and some burlap to give it stability. And they make a mold, and that mold is probably 3 to 4 inches thick. So it takes quite a while for that to cure. Once it cures, the artists take the head apart in 2 pieces. So there's a negative of the front and a negative of the back. Then we have a trained group of women who come in and do the paper mache. It's 13 layers of tiny pieces of paper. Every layer is cured for 24 hours. Once you have the 13 layers, then they can release it from the mold. And then it's kind of sewed together with twine, or we kind of use like a florist wire and put big stitches and put the 2 sides front and back together, and then cover that with paper mache, and then get it nice and smooth, and then the artist will paint it. And then they go with a lacquer, a varnish, a clear coat, but this is all house paint, because house paint is weather resistant. Even though this is paper, it's not going to run if it gets wet or dewy. We try not to let it ever get wet, but if it does, it's house paint, so it works well.
When the 3 of us first talked a number of months ago, one of the things I found so delightful was the kind of paper you're using. It's the Detroit Free Press, Detroit News?
Yes.
The Detroit papers, yes. When we did the Gilda Radner head, her husband, Gene Wilder, had passed away, and the artist used pictures of them together to make the chest plate of Gilda Radner. So underneath all the paint is a little bit of heart, that our artist put into thing. It's very cute.
The creation of a big head is not a simple thing, and it sounds very time consuming. What's your goal each year for creating new big heads? How many in a year?
Well, so we add 1 to our collection every year. We pick a famous Michigander, famous Detroiter to kind of celebrate that year. And we add 1 to our collection each year. But then we also have time throughout the year to kind of rehab old heads and make them into like new creations, like the unicorns, for example. They were horses, and then someone had an idea to make something fun and like rehab it and revamp it. Because since they're so old, not everything can walk, and we don't have the budgeted capacities to make everything cute and pretty and maintain it. So every year we pick a couple to, pick rehab, change a bug into like a bumblebee, make horses into zebras, paint them really fun. So, 1 a year technically, but we can always rehab as many as we would like.
How many people do you have working on this project?
Well, we are a very small but mighty team. There's one artist who is our kind of big head artist, repair, fix it nurse. We love her. We have 1, and then we have volunteer work throughout the year to help with the new head creation, because that is a time-consuming process. Mm-hmm. So something as in all the 13 layers of paper mache, volunteers love to be a part of it. Like they put a layer on and they feel like they have a place in big head history.
Ownership, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. But we take volunteers all the time, but realistically, it's probably like 3 of us maintaining all of this work. And it's a full labor of love. We love it.
This year with our brand new head, which I can't tell you what it is, it's a secret. We had our sculptors, we have a few really talented sculptors here. 3 of them sculpted a bust of that figure. And without anybody knowing who did what, everybody voted on which we thought was the best. So there was quite a process in there too.
Well, we'll wait with bated breath until Thanksgiving to have it all revealed. You have also a core of volunteers who wear the big heads in the parade. So what's the process for deciding what big heads come out every year and how many?
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. Yeah, the Big Head Corp is a program of like local Michiganders, my Metro Detroiters, who pay a membership fee to wear the big heads in the parade. That process is super fun, super simple. They come here, they register online, And then they pick from our collection of heads. We have over 150 walkable heads. And my goal is to fill everyone every year. And then from there, they all fit so differently. It's like the wedding dress process, you know, like you put on like, this is the one. It's like that for big heads too, because they're so unique. Like we have like 5 different cats, but each cat fits so differently. So from there, we have a really intense fitting process. We give them a costume. And then Thanksgiving morning, they're there bright and early, ready to, you know, enlighten Woodward Avenue with, you know, Big Head Magic, because the people love the Big Head Corp. They are a true treasure and gem of Detroit. And I tell people every year, be a celebrity for a day and put a big head on. It will change your life. And people keep coming back for more.
You know, we live in a time where there's many miraculous materials to build things from, and yet paper and the paper mache process remains fundamental to the big heads. You did try, if I remember correctly, to use other materials in the past. Tell us a little bit about how that didn't work and why.
Yeah, you know, being everything, there's no school for paper mache. You know, everyone did a piñata back in the day for one class of mache. But everything's trial and error. And as we kind of repaired them throughout the year, we found like muslin was used, which is a very hard process. Once you use wheat paste on that, it becomes literal cement. And manipulating that for repairs is very hard. We found tissue paper, which just disintegrates. And like the Italians, we use wheat paste, so wallpaper material. So it needs something to be strong and resilient, but also withstand layers and layers and layers of wheat paste over time. And we found like tissue paper, muslin, pieces of wood to help create stability. I think we found like a little piece of sandpaper too, probably to help like bind things, but especially in like the older Italian heads, though the things they created were so large, they have like wood cradles to help support. So finding those materials and how they kind of engineered that is always very interesting. But the older you go, and you find the most interesting materials in these heads.
We did have a famous Detroiter head one time, and she had big hair, Diana Ross. And they wanted to make that hair look so great. One artist tried actual Bondo, and put it on one side, and it looked fabulous. But as soon as you put her on, she was like this.
Yeah.
It didn't sit right. So Bondo is too heavy.
Yeah. Everything's trial and error here. Like there's no school for this. So we try our best to, find the best solution. If it works, we stick with it.
I'm just charmed by the paper mache end of it. It's just so basic, and everybody has had an experience with paper mache, and it's marvelous that it's the best darn thing for these heads. Dorienne and Sharon, I want to thank you so much for your time. The Art Center's paperwork exhibition will continue through March 24. For more information about that, you can go to glenarborart.org. And if people want to learn more about the big heads, how do they do that?
If you're ever in Detroit, ever in the area, give us a call. We'd love to give you a tour. Our tours are personal right now because of COVID. So if you bring a group of 2 or 22, we will tour the whole studio and show you the paper mache as well as our giant floats.
Yes, there's so much even in this area to come see, especially at the Parade Studio during this wonderful fall time. Friends, on all social media platforms. We are on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Come look for us, the parade. We are all over the WDIV, so look for us on there. But our website, theparade.org/bigheads, you can find information on us there as well.
Thank you, guys. And thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.